good credit. I read that. I absolutely read that. Little hello from my security department, Mr. Farrow, the German Shepherd. Temporarily, it was reiterated to me by one of the workers that anybody can be homeless at any time. I get it. I get it. I really, really get it. Many people have stayed at my home. Many people that needed somewhere to go. But I'm talking about falling down and staying down and not even trying to get up. Is the coke, the dope, the liquor, or whatever it is, the prostitute, is any of it worth being homeless? And then, I can only imagine what gets a person to the point where they say bump being around people. I mean, some nights I walk past them and it's like, I know you want to be in the house, take a bath, eat a meal, watch some television. And what I get out of it is I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I got lights, got running water. I'm grateful. Thank you, God. I'm grateful for the little things. And Michael Randolph, you ain't gonna make me read all these notes. Now look, since my guest didn't show, I'm gonna help out all of you. Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. Any of you want to come on the show, I'm gonna put the link right here in the chat, because Michael Randolph, let me tell you now, I'm not reading all that today. We going into the holidays. I'm about to get kicked off the show anyway. We got a new co-host taking my spot. You ain't gonna make me read all of that. And Michael Randolph, I got a couple questions for you anyway. So click that link. Michael Haney, come on in and tell us about your show. And anybody else, we're gonna make something out of almost nothing. But again, if you got running water, gas, and electric, don't be caught up, I can't get this for my kids. I can't get this. Hey, if they for you, the material things don't matter. You better go play Little Drummer Boy. Come thee to me, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum. Little Drummer Boy had nothing but the drum. He played his gift and kept it moving. Who doesn't like nice things? Everybody like nice things. But if it ain't in the cards for this time around, keep it simple, keep it moving. And again, those who love you, they are not holding you hostage over things. You do what you can do. The real joy is supposed to be about Christ, I thought. But as I've gotten older, I realize everybody don't look at Christmas the same way. So do you, boo. But don't be selfish. Don't be caught up, and don't be using people to love things. Love people, use things. Don't use things. Use people to love things. I'll say it again. Love people, use things. Don't use people to love things. Don't be hooking up with somebody just because you want something for December 25th to post a picture on Facebook about your boo and you don't even know this cat's last name. Stop the silliness, stop the chicanery. Nodella, come on in. Tell me about your book. There's the link. Sister we met during the live stream, Saka JY. Yeah, I'm messing your name up, Nodella, so you had to come in and correct me. Saka Jawiya. I'm at work. Okay. Well, season's greetings to you nonetheless. And be nice to people. Like the homeless couple over here. I want to take them some hot soup or something. Maybe just listen to them, see what they're thinking, see what their plan is. Don't judge. Again, any of us could be in a situation. Fires happen all the time. And that's my big challenge with the white addicts in Sandtown. They're ruthless. They will break in a house and don't care. They don't care about the fire. They just trying to break in a vacant. And my big question is, where do you come from? And how do you end up in 21217? Because I hear Trump and all of the Trumpsters and all of these undercover and overt and covert racist innuendos. We as Black people, we're not slow. We can read between the lines. We've learned your code. We've learned the racist code over the years. But then the question is, when that foolishness is going to stop? Hey, Michael Haney, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Donnie. Good morning, Donnie's viewers. Donnie, I'm blessed, man. And I tell you, man, as much as I try to get other things done during the day, your show has become addictive, man. I mean, it's a good addiction though, because I feel like, my day has not gotten started if I don't at least dial in and see what's going on and see who you have as a guest. And I saw who you had, Kevin Wayne Johnson coming on today, and something had to have happened to Kevin because let's pray he's okay because he's a phenomenal brother. But yeah, man, my day is not complete unless my conscience is not good, unless I know I see your face as much as, sometimes it goes crazy, but my day is not complete, man. That's right. I got to keep my guard up with you all the time,
I got
Donnie.
to keep my guard up with you.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But
Michael Randolph, show your face. Michael Randolph is back. Says, you ever met Michael Randolph?
no, but I know he's down here in the area where I'm at, at times down in Orlando or Davenport. I know he's in Tampa somewhere. So
He's an expert. Michael
he's an
Randolph is
expert.
an expert on anything and everything. There you go. There you go. Ask me a question.
All right.
How far is the sun from the earth?
2 miles. 2 miles.
Where I'm at, at times.
Everything. How far is the sun from the earth? 2 miles.
So you got that raggedy computer.
2 miles.
Yeah, he got it. Hey, Mike, I think you got to cut something off. You got two things running. We got reverb. So
Yeah.
Mike, tell them about your show.
Hey, so 60 Minutes in Black USA, just recently we had a show just educating the Black community on various issues of the community. This past week, we talked about Kwanzaa. We talked about Kwanzaa, the relevance of Kwanzaa. Phenomenal discussion because, I've gone around my entire life saying Happy Kwanzaa, but didn't really understand the seven principles as an example. Didn't understand a couple of weeks ago as we talked about radio and media, the significance of having ownership to ensure that we're able to carry our message, and that some of what we listen to, such as Radio One and BET, are really owned by white conglomerates. So our show is about educating.
Radio One is not owned by Black people.
It's run by Black people. That's what they say. But in Baltimore, for an example, the general
manager in Baltimore is not Black.
That's right. But if you listen to them in the morning, they say we're a Black run radio station. They say nothing about being owned. And that's the importance of us understanding and listening to the message. I'm sorry?
The Jewish man runs it. He's not
That's
Black.
right. That's right. Exactly. But but they still say it. So he runs the Blacks up there.
So they lie.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of having your show, in that we can be transparent and a full. So he runs the Blacks up somewhere. Yeah, I think he may still have his own. Yeah, so rather than us going somewhere, listening to something, thinking that we have a piece of the pie when we really don't. Radio One, Kathy Hughes, love her to death, wonderful person, but at the end of the day, the owners of that conglomerate don't necessarily look like us. But that's why they changed their message to say we're Black run. But in Baltimore, for instance, we're not even Black run.
Why say those lies?
Because it's part of giving us, just as we talked about Sunday on 60 Minutes in Black USA, the Black community has been disillusioned and has been fooled and been given messages so that we respond in a manner, in a way that is to what they want us to respond to. That's why we have to do our investigation. That's why we have to look a bit further than what is being told us, so that we truly understand, what history, culture, and climate is really about relative to our community. So when you give your money, you pay commercial to Radio One or BET, it isn't necessarily going to Black business. Just remember that, versus paying to a Black USA News or Be More News, or Donnie's medium or my medium of Staffing Solutions by Global. We are totally, what you see is what you get.
Mike, I gotta tell you, and I don't know how to stop that reverb button and put you on mute, but you started a trend, and we've done 3 shows now, 2 with you, 1 with Christina Flowers, live from Africa. Live from Africa. Let me try Michael Randolph again. Michael, 3 shows now, 2 with you. So Michael, you got 2 audios going. I'm not sure if you hear it, we hear it.
Okay, let me try to fix it.
Let me try Michael Randolph again. But you started a trend with the shows from Africa, and that's something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. It's like our wings are, we're flying now. We're soaring like an eagle. Tell me about that.
Hey, so they're just as thirsty for us to be there as we need to be in understanding where our roots come from. They're just as thirsty about that. I'm going back in February this year, God willing, to even more explore business opportunities. I did a COVID-19 hesitancy webinar from Africa last week, and it was about the hesitancy of the vaccine over in Africa and why many in Africa are hesitant about the vaccine. And so there's an exchange of information going on between our 2 continents, particularly us blacks here and the blacks in Africa. And it's important. It's important that we carry the message. One thing that I hope changes in the very near future is that people that look like you and me, or guys, genders, you and me, because 85% of the travelers from this country over to Africa, our motherland, our continent, are women, are black women. The guys don't go. Either it's a financial issue or they don't think that's relevant. Huh?
It's quite often financial.
Yeah, a lot of it is financial, but we invest in what is important to us.
Well, let me say this, Mike. I see a lot of times where people will see stats about men and women in America, and they'll say men make more money than women. Well, that might be so in the in the white community, but that ain't necessarily so in the black community. The black woman is more employed, more educated, more accepted in the workplace,
and less locked up.
And
there's a reason for that.
When people go and start making those generalizations, we got to remember those caveats. Not all men. White men, yeah. But the black man, I was thinking just yesterday of doing a solo video on life for a black man in America. Honestly, Mike, it's depressing. You agree?
Hey, I absolutely agree, Donnie. But it shows to the strength that we really have, particularly when we come together collectively, when we're looked at as a threat and as a weapon. The reason that many laws are of the nature that go against black males, because they know the strength of any family is the male, and particularly in our community. And as they continue to enslave our minds, if we allow them and hold us back with that type of oppression, they know they don't have anything to worry about in terms of any uprising with us. That's why we have to understand where they're coming from and look to hold each other up. Because, if our communities are ever to become a source of strength and something that we have pride over, it's the black male that's going to lead that through. Even black females understand that. That's why they stand behind us and hold us up. That's why you see them taking us back to jails, etc., to ensure that their black men are supported, because they know that we got it rough.
Well, let me just. A lot of black women are giving up on black men.
Well, maybe, Donnie, it's because black men sometimes give the illusion that they're giving up on themselves.
I'm not blaming them, and I'm not justifying the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But sisters getting tired of our stuff. And on the reverse, it's not all the time you see a successful black man with a black woman. America's got us real twisted. Can't get an NBA contract, pro football contract, Three things: earrings, whole arm full of tattoos, and Karen.
Well, that's unfortunate, Donnie, and I don't disagree with you because if that's what we consider stature, then we got some serious issues. But, I believe that someone should be allowed to love whoever they want if it's
Love who
true
you want.
love,
But hey,
but yeah,
can you
but
walk with that? Can you walk with the white lady down the harbor on 3 o'clock Sunday? That's your litmus test.
Can exactly, can you do that? Exactly, and I would say that that would be if I'm in love with someone, no matter what color creed they are, then I'm going to do whatever I need to do. I'm not even going to give it a second thought. But if it's because all of a sudden I think I'm a model of success and I've got two earrings, although I'm not wearing an earring, I come from the old days. I'm not wearing an earring in one ear because that's just not me. I don't have one single tattoo. That's just not me. But if I think that having a white woman is a sign of stature to me, like you said, we are real twisted. And that's part of what they do in terms of destroying the basis of our community, is to set us up to focus on the materialistic aspect of things and the visual aspect of things.
How about this, man? When we do get into the pros and make this money, and we got athletes in mostly every state, we've got pro athletes in mostly every state with a team. How come Baltimore ain't got no new recreation centers? All these athletes came through our recreation centers. Why don't we have new recreation centers? I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about us.
I understand. I was listening to your show last week when you had on your show. Well, not you. There was a show on with the Baltimore City Department of Recreation's leader who came from somewhere in Georgia or Alabama, and we talked about recreation centers being closed in Baltimore. Now we know what Carmela Anthony did in Baltimore in terms of um, building a recreation center, and Under Armour got involved because they weren't going to let someone come in and do something that they weren't in charge of, put artificial turf on the fields. Then we also have, what's the guy, Smith, that used to be the wide receiver with the Baltimore Ravens. He's involved. So I push back a little to say that in Baltimore specifically, that there are not athletes. Glenn Dowdy, we can go back to the Shake and Bake Center and what Glenn Dowdy did down in Sandtown in your area of the city. So there are some, but and they were sincere and heartfelt. Now you see a lot of token money out there for tax purposes, and not for real purposes. Because it's one thing, Glenn Dowdy lived in the community. You know what I'm saying? As did Frank Robinson when he was here in Baltimore.
Matter of
Many
fact,
of them were in the community.
Frank was living in Ashburton. He lived in Ashburton, and that was after he looked and searched, and he couldn't find somewhere to live. And he was about to leave Baltimore. I think you know the story better than me.
Yeah, Frank they would not let him buy a house wherever he wanted to, and this is in the early '60s, and we aren't real far removed from that. And he was discouraged at the racism that exists in Baltimore. Baltimore, right on the cusp of the Mason-Dixon line, 30 miles down the street from the epitome of or the epicenter of power in the world. Racist Baltimore, almost as bad as Boston. And we talk about Birmingham and Mississippi. Baltimore's got it going on when you talk about discrimination and racism, even to this day. The redlining, when you look at the book Not in My Neighborhood that was written about redlining, Baltimore's has had it going on since the 1930s. Look at what's happening now with the bike lane. They just do it
Early
a different way.
1900s.
The
Early
early
1900s.
1900s. Absolutely. Absolutely. But back to your point, Donnie, about black males and black men. And, look at you and I. Look at Michael Randolph. Look at Rico. Look at Kevin Wayne Johnson. There's a multitude of us out here doing things, but what does collaboration look like that we train it, that we change it into sustainable power base? Look at our elected leadership. where there are some issues. There's some issues when we get to that level and we can't have a game plan to move things further along, because power without money, power is equated in Baltimore to real estate. Real estate equates to a lot of power in Baltimore. Until we understand that, dynamic, we're going to be kind of treading water for a while.
No, we're gonna be busy. We're gonna be busy riding 3-wheel bikes. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be busy investing in 3-wheel bikes. I'll never forget this summer. I saw a long parade of brothers on 3-wheel bikes going through dirty neighborhoods, going past abandoned houses. And I'm saying the same unity that it took to put together this long parade of 3-wheel bikes with black men. Damn, can you imagine them cats going to a house and say, we're gonna fix this vacant overnight?
Unbelievable, Donnie. Donnie, I've got my son. He's watching your show because he's just as addicted to your show as I am. Aaron Haney. He's up in New York, got his degree from University of Rochester. He did a study when he was working with the.
Stop.
He did a study.
You have been shamming on us, Michael Haney, and I want your son to see this. Michael Haney, you have. I'm going to let you off. You have not told us about your sister.
Yeah, so my sister's one thing, Dr. Sharon Haney, who was one of the first biochemists in the country, and she was on the show, my initial show, my inaugural show, because she went to Africa with me. But Aaron, I hope you click that link that Mr. Glover put out there so you can tell people what you're doing from a financial perspective up in New York, and the study that you wrote about disparities in housing in the community when you were a sophomore at the University of Rochester. Because those things are the things that we need to understand and know in order to move ourselves forward, Donnie. We need young people like Aaron, who's 24 years old, maybe 25. I forget how old he is. I got so many of them. But, we need young people like that to talk to each other, because there's a different language than someone your age and my age, Donnie, talking to these young people about cooperative, financial stuff and putting their money and pooling their money together so you and I can buy the World Trade Center, Donnie, and we can own some of the real estate where we want to have political power. And that really helps our politicians when we own real estate where they are politicians at. And we don't have that, at least in Baltimore, yet.
All right, we're going to try him one more time. Michael Randolph.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Technology. Nothing else. So,
you got some comments? Because, Michael, you always putting stuff in the comment. Ain't nobody reading all of that stuff.
Yeah, I know. I kind of overdo it, but you understand that as a black man, you have to be 5 times better than a white man. So you have to know a little bit of everything in order just to have a conversation. So that's what I do. I study everything. But related to Sandtown, man, Sandtown is my passion. I do know this, and this is true. Sandtown doesn't have to be the way it is. There are strategies and approaches that can change the narrative in Sandtown. And there are methods and approaches from around the country that shows that even in the worst of the neighborhoods, if you got a good plan and you got a good strategy, you can turn it all around. The problem is that people are thinking like old school. We have to use a new school, next generation approach to transform communities using a bottom-up approach in which the community is mobilized, organized, and educated to create their own table. That's when you have community empowerment. Sandtown had that in the 90s during the empowerment zone. If we can bring that energy back again to awaken the sleeping giants that they did in 1990, but all those community people out, we can change the narrative. We definitely can. So that's my 2 cents.
Said Mike.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Mr. Haney, you want to touch that?
No, because I don't want to touch it, because I agree with Michael that if that's his belief that we can change the narrative, as a result of us coming together. I agree with him, but it is not something easy because it's hard. We have been disillusioned and misinformed on many fronts. And it's tough for us to get on the same page. Partnerships are hard to make work, particularly among, Black people for whatever reasons.
Change, you have to use what's known as a community comprehensive initiative. A community comprehensive initiative begins to look at infrastructure, economic development, physical development, and social development. And it combines all these schools of thoughts into one strategy. The problem is most approaches are singlistic. It's like trying to have a hand and you're only dealing with the finger. If you're not dealing with the whole hand, it's not going to work. So that community comprehensive initiative not only works, but we need it. And guess what? It came out of Sandtown doing the empowerment zone. I just took that strategy, brought it to Tampa, and showed how it could work. And it can work in Sandtown as well. Because Danny, are you saying something? I can't hear you.
Keep your damn camera still. You're making me dizzy, man. Keep the damn camera still.
Sorry about that, man. But I think at the end of the day, we can solve this problem right here. We what's known as the Community Comprehensive Initiative. It consists of 3 schools of thought: psychology, philosophy, sociology, and economic development. All these 3 schools of thought combine to make what we call Community Comprehensive Initiative.
All right, give somebody else a chance. Now, come on, Mike Haney. We got you got young blood on the line. Hey, Aaron, how you doing, brother?
I'm well. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, Donnie, I appreciate that. Aaron is my baby. He's my youngest recent graduate of the University of Rochester with a degree in finance and business. And Aaron, I was mentioning, the study you did when you were a sophomore, I believe, on the, disparity in housing in our communities. And tell people about that and what you're doing now and where you think as a community, a Black community, financially we need to go. Because I know you're up in New York City doing some big things.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And so practically in regards of the study that I've done when I was a sophomore at U of R, it was more so in regards of the housing crisis as well as the lack of food or the proper nutrition within at-risk communities. And so all of that was based or predicated upon the fact that this whole systemic racism is built on Darwinism or eugenics and how it had affected or had led from slavery into mass incarceration and the lack of, resources, financial support, and nutrition in Black communities. And so right now, I'm in New York, staying in Manhattan, working at Northwestern Mutual. And so I run my own financial advising practice. And really, my main focus or concentration is helping at-risk families, 35, 50, really no age to it, no age limit, but who doesn't, the people who do not have the proper resources or the proper, financial education with structuring for retirement and goals. So, yeah, thank you.
So generational wealth, Aaron, when you talk about structuring for financial goals, how do you structure for financial goals when you don't have anything? What is it about the financial apparatus of this country that we as a community don't understand that we can benefit from so that we can create some sort of generational wealth and old daddy Mike has something to leave for his children have something to leave for their children so we can start building our own financial structures?
That's a great question. And overall, I would say it's taking or believing in some of the vehicles, the investment vehicles that a lot of, people of our color, do not like to invest in because of the, not because of us, but more so because of the types of systemic racism that surrounds it, such as life insurance policies. And speaking through several of the older clients who are of African American descent, and just hearing about the different stories about policies being denied or premiums being increased at a higher rate because Black people or African Americans are seen to have a higher death rate. And so when you really just start to think about the different loopholes and strategies that our Caucasian counterparts follow, it's more of how can we start to tap into those systems? How can we start to use life insurance policies and understand that when you have a policy, when you own a policy with a mutual company, you also receive dividends and interest. And sooner or later, you're insured without paying off or paying towards anything in the next 5 years. But so many people are afraid of course, the pessimism or what could go wrong, such as not receiving monies or losing monies in the market. But it's overall, I've identified a sense of comfortability with different investment vehicles. And so I think that it all starts with the proper education and, just employing more classes for these types of investment strategies and, the security of families.
So
So,
that's one thing, Aaron. That's one thing. I'm listening to you. That's one thing that our community doesn't understand is
mhm,
investment vehicles. You talked about life insurance policies per se.
mhm.
What would you, to educate us right now, what would you say to a 40 to 50-year-old person about life insurance that could be a benefit to them and their family? What could we do differently that we may not know or be doing now? What are you finding out there?
That's a great question. Well, first, I would say that by January 1st, through the federal regulation section 7702, there will be an increase into the taxes of life insurance and other investment vehicles as income. And so, practically, I would say to those who are about 45, 50, 35, to start looking towards annuities as well, because it's more about understanding the terminology. Like when you have an annuity, it's an income that you can't outlive. And so when you start to pay more attention to being insured, to transfer risk, I would say, to contact a financial advisor, because you could tailor a plan to so many solutions or so many different lifestyles that it's literally like tailoring a suit. And so contact the financial advisor, talk about your current financial situations, because it's a pandemic. No one is expected to be on top. No one is expected to be overcoming inflation 2-3 times, which is at an average high of 6.42%. So I would say no one is perfect with money. Contact a financial advisor, because there's no one fits all solution.
Hey, so Aaron, I live in public housing. I make $25,000 a year. Does it make sense for me to look at investment vehicles, etc.? I mean, because what you're talking is for a middle class, upper middle class Black. Is it real for me to say that? And I see Mr. Glover has his hand up.
Can I take a stab at it? If you live in public housing, yeah, you need insurance because otherwise you're gonna be doing a GoFundMe when somebody
Right.
dies.
Right. And so even with the GoFundMe, but that's more so towards death, but looking towards using the wealth that you've accumulated in value, because a life insurance policy could be similar to a mortgage, where you could take out a loan against your policy, or you could surrender it down to the cost basis. So imagine you're investing $1,000 a month, and in 10 years, you've now accumulated so much money that the interest and the dividends right now at 5% is starting to pay off your own policy. And then in 5 more years, when your dividend is at 29,000, but your policy is worth 6,000, you're now profiting $23,000 just by having a policy.
Mr. Your sound went out. We got to get him a show, Mike.
Oh, absolutely.
He,
Absolutely.
he needs a show.
He understands it deep.
Mike, did you want to chime in on anything, Michael Randolph?
Yeah, because I agree 100% with what that brother is saying. Our problem as a people is that we're consumers. We're not investors. We have to start looking at investing. You buy a pair of tennis shoes for $150. That goes away in a day. The value goes away. I'm doing the show. Hold on 1 second.
That's your homeboy straight out of Sandtown.
But I mean,
Aaron, we got to get you on this network. I think you need a show on this network.
oh man, I would love it. Hey, feel free to invite me.
Hey,
He
Aaron, let's talk about real estate, Aaron. Let's talk about real estate and purchasing real estate and the value of purchasing real estate, and, letting people understand no matter where you are in life, as long as you got a job, right? That real estate is a good basis of potentially generational wealth. How do we purchase real estate? How do we prepare ourselves to purchase real estate? Let's talk about the ordinary person. Not the
Mm.
person making $150,000-$200,000 a year like you.
Wow. Well, hey, no. I don't want to jump up there yet, man. But real, So I would say that real estate, and it depends because now and day, like even Facebook changing their name to Meta, you would see that purchasing real estate in today's market using the digital age of technology, like you can start buying real estate through mobile applications via meta technologies where you're buying into a virtual universe, and so the whole digital age is starting to switch up how we start to approach property. Like, do you want to buy the traditional brick and mortar, or do you want to start buying into something that you could own small ownerships of, a gasoline station in Brooklyn, but you can now also own multifamily units in San Francisco, and so I would also recommend, so there's three, looking at FHA loans or looking at, but instead of using an FHA loan on your first property, try to utilize that on a multifamily unit so that you're still taking advantage of that 4.5% down, but now you're not necessarily going towards something that you're paying or you're living into. So your liabilities increase, even though your assets increase, but it's more so how can you increase your assets, but utilize that to get you to a better place in the future. So looking at FHA loans, your first home, taking on your first home loan and utilizing that towards a multifamily property or a property that you can use as an investment vehicle. I would also say look into the metaverse, how you could start looking into like Solland, Copaland, or different types of platforms where you could buy into virtual ownership of property. And so when you also think about terminology like real estate syndication, where you could crowd fund for property. That was something that I started to tap into, in which I'm looking to launch in 2022. But you could practically buy ownership into multifamily units, casinos, and even resorts that would be in the upcoming future. And it's under Aaron Bucks. And then the third.
Aaron Bucks, what is Aaron Bucks?
Well, so Aaron Bucks, it's this software as a service product that I'm looking to launch in 2022. And so right now, that is my DBA. So I'm doing business as Aaron Bucks for my financial advising practice. And so, when people want to get in contact, they contact Aaron Bucks. Right now, we're currently hiring for a financial planning assistant, as well as 3 call center representatives. And so, as well as a digital marketer, but Aaron Bucks is more so my financial advisory practice that I'm looking to start owning real estate and formulating trust with.
How
So
old are you, Aaron?
I'm 24.
Wow. So, Aaron, you mentioned Facebook and Meta, whatever, and Facebook is into the virtual real estate. I had no idea. What the heck does that mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so Facebook is changing its name to Meta, because of the whole, if you start to look around and you see where it's like, hey, you could buy into this gas station in Brooklyn, New York for $10 or for $5. You could download these applications that look similar to like a Roblox game or a game where it's digitized. And so you could pull up a picture, it shows you where you would stake your area at. You would pull up a picture of this gas station, and then you could say, hey, I think I want to buy $5 of this, or I want to put $15 of this in. And so so you gauge based off of the increase in that economic environment. So like, for example, in Florida, I believe around Orange County or Miami, it may be at an 8.6% growth rate in between 2021 and 2025. And so it's more about identifying where do you see growth areas in, especially within this pandemic. Because I remember when I was looking for a property in New York in the middle of the pandemic or in March, some properties were down 99%. And so like paying as little as $6,000-7,000, you could own essentially, the outer shell of it. But it still just shows how volatile the markets are for real estate and for property at this moment, because of the pandemic. And as you see, the markets and the regulations are starting to fluctuate.
So to be able to buy a piece, as you said, and there's a question about crypto, because I know you led me. I made $3,000 off your recommendation to buy Eartha, whatever, cryptocurrency. Talk about cryptocurrency for a minute and how you got me and made me some money last year over your recommendations on cryptocurrency.
Doge. So Doge was a huge one. That was around the time of my birthday. So we bought it for like 0.05, and then we sold at like 74 cents. And so, this was that time
I
period
got
when you don't
paid.
want to,
I
yeah,
got
you
paid.
got paid, and you don't want to pay me for my knowledge, but all right. Nah, that's another story.
I
But
didn't pay you for your knowledge. Are you kidding? I gave you a percentage.
yeah. It was a nice bartering and stuff. Yeah, exactly. Great face. But more so, crypto, like we made a lot of money off of Dogecoin, but crypto, I was looking at the markets yesterday, and since it's a highly, several government entities are looking to regulate it because based off of how it maneuvers on the blockchain technology, crypto is essentially decentralized. And then you talk about DeFi, but it's such a broad topic that we need another show for. But you talk about decentralized finances and how to start staking non-fungible tokens using crypto. So like I have my own NFT for Chronicles staked on Ethereum. And so I just started looking at Solana and purchasing Doge Capital through Garden of Eden. Okay. And so when you start talking about crypto, it's like you can utilize crypto, you can invest in crypto, you can sell crypto through DeFi, but you can also stake on crypto and you can have ownership properties which will never leave, that blockchain using crypto. Okay. And it's called like non-fungible tokens, fungible tokens, decentralized finance, just a couple of key terminology to keep in the mix or the WIM. So yeah.
Well, I'm gonna bring Mr. Glover back on to download you a bit more. But man, I tell you, I'm proud of you. You've done phenomenal. You
Thank
made
you.
me some money, and I thought
Thank
I
you.
did pay you. And if I didn't pay you, man, look for it in the mail.
All right. Hey, we got Cash App now, man. But
We're proud of
yeah,
you, Ern. We're proud of your
thank you.
dad.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you
Mike, we're
very
going to
much.
wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
Hey, listen, man, this has been great, man. You never know where your blessings come from to get your day started. I had no idea that an hour later, here's where I'd be with my son talking about
Yeah.
good things with the image of Kwanzaa behind us. As you mentioned earlier on, watch our mental health, man. Really take a look at the 7 principles of Kwanzaa and figure out which one is meaningful for you that particular day, and just enjoy the moment that we have.
Mhm.
Good deal. Thank you, everyone. We're going to
Yes.
be back tonight at 7 p.m. And Aaron, all you got to do is tell us when you're coming on. Mr. Michael
Sounds like
Henry
a
will
plan.
set you
Thank
up.
you very much. Thank you guys for having me.
We'll be back at 7 p.m. tonight.